As I say, down in Saskinor would have been the first place where I met Filipino people, and then over the years I kept meeting different ones. There's a wee church in Portadown. They have branches now going out in Dungannon and Oma, and I think in Enniskillen. Well, there's Filipinos in here, but I just kept meeting all these Filipino people. And then Wesley had told me when I prayed about it, and I felt you know, an interest in going out there to do some of the Lord's work. Wesley had told me about a couple of people to go and listen to, and I went to listen to this woman in Mountain Lodge, Chrissy, and her son Nathaniel, and I said to them that I had an interest in going out, so I got the details off them, and when I got everything together I hooked up with them. So anyway, it's different the time when I went to Linda had everything arranged, and when you're trying to arrange everything yourself, it's a different ball game when you arrive in a foreign country and you don't know what to expect, and you just get directions, get to this station and get a bus, which 4 hours in the pitch dark from 1:30 in the morning. But even God had his hand in that there, because the woman that sat beside me, a lady, she was a born again Christian, and we talked about Jesus the whole time, and I was telling her where I was going out, and it was a 4-hour journey, so we talked the whole time. But anyway, I arrived there at 5:30 in the morning, got down to the place. So the next morning I went out with the youth doing the outreach, and these are ones that have, the lady that is behind it all is a woman called Chrissy. She went out to Philippines when she was in her early 20s for 8 months, and it's 40 years later she married a Filipino as a family. They have a church, they have 2 orphanages, you know, small wee orphanages. They have a school with 200 kids in it. I went out to doing the outreach the next morning, and these are ones, a couple of the ones were brought up in the orphanage. So a lot of them seem to go back into ministry and helping out. I think there's 3 photos here. These wee children here from 4 years of age. Beautiful wee kids. I think there's a thing on the side here. You can just, yeah. And lovely wee children, you know, but they're living in very small, sort of very, nearly like a wee tin hut built in nearly like in a jungle, you know. This is what someone's living in. And the youth ones there go round. Now it's great what they do, they give them scriptures, and they get them to memorise the scripture, and then they'll get them up and they'll give them wee treats, you know, for getting the scripture right. And they'll be praying. I think there's one on there where they'll be praying and whatnot. So it's all God based, you know, and they'll have wee games with them as well. And you know, to keep them, because young kids' minds, after about 20 minutes of the hard, they'll be drifting off all over the place. But anyway, I thought it was great. There was about 7 or 8 of the young ones there that was doing the outreach. So then in the afternoon, maybe go on to one of the old photos on. And I'll just tell you, I've no photos for the meeting, but Chrissy had arranged the meeting. Her husband's a pastor, he's a Filipino, and we went down to the church, and she says, would you like to come down to the meeting in the afternoon? Nothing was arranged, it was just more or less go, and I says, yeah, I'd love to. So it was all people around my age and whatnot, and so the pastor brought a bit of a word, and then the next thing Chrissy turned around to me and says, would you give a bit of a testimony? You know, for a few minutes. So I got up and I gave a bit of a testimony. She had to translate it because most of them all spoke Filipino. But anyway, I gave a short testimony, and it was basically about seeing the Lord, raising the dead, healing and deliverance. And that's what I based my thing about. I thought it wasn't needful to tell them in my past. I just wanted to glorify the Lord. But anyway, the next thing after the meeting was coming to a close, there was 9 people up in a line, and the next thing the pastor turned around, he says, Tony, we'll lay hands on you and pray for each of you. So I laid hands and prayed for each of them, and it was a great. So then, where are we at now? Oh, this is sort of into the 2nd week. I'll sort of be bouncing about the place. This young boy here was his 28th birthday. He's badly handicapped and he's blind. And they have a great thing. He's one of the ones in the boys' house There's a boys' house where there's about 18 boys in it, and they call them mamas, the sort of motherly women looking after their needs. And then there's a girls' house with about 15 girls and 11 babies down in the bottom floor of it. This young boy here they have a board, which you'll see anyway. This young boy, it was his 28th birthday. He was blind and badly handicapped, but they took him out for a day. They had a cake for him and everything for him. And maybe you'd see him one of the old photos on. That's another wee Down syndrome boy, lovely wee fella. There was 3 special needs children, and then there was about 18 other boys. And this is a young boy here in the water. He just loved in the water. You never seen anybody. He was in his element. Of course, Potty here was white as snow. Went into the deep and swam away, and wondered why everybody that was as colourful as this man here was wearing t-shirts. You know, they were as brown as berries and they were wearing t-shirts. But I realised later, I just got fried completely swimming in the water. Of course, you know, lesson learned. But that was a day out. They had a feed for him. Maybe see him now. They had a birthday cake and all for him, and a good feed for everybody. It was a great day out. And what they have in the boys' house, and the same with the girls' house, they have 2 notice boards where they'll have all the photographs of all the children and all their date of birth. And every time there's a birthday, they treat them and take them out somewhere to like a water park or something, or swimming or something, whatever they like. And they have another board here which they have behaviour thing, and they sort of get wee marks on how they behave and who's good and who's, you know, they put either a red one or a yellow one. So I flip on there. That was the deep water there when I went into, even though they had a bit of a cover there, the sun seemed to get in and just I'll go to the wee arrow with the left there, yeah. No. Just the boys and the girls' house, right? You can just whip through these one at a time. This is where the boys, they're big into the basketball, they love the basketball, and they would play it a lot. Now the boys' house, that's the notice board I'm telling you about there, where they have all, on the right hand side, all their birthdays and stuff like that, and then they have a behavioural chart where they have like either a red. That's the girls' house there, Filipino Outreach Centre. Now, massive big place. There's 18 girls, I think 18 girls or 15 girls not there, and then 11 wee babies in the bottom. You probably see, there's one of the wee babies. Now, some of the women that are going into jail leave their babies in there, and when they come out of jail, they don't even pick them up again. They go way off, some of them, and have children with somebody else and just leave the kids. There's a lot of them, the ones there, have grew up from babies, and they end out, they go to the school. You probably see, just flick forward on. That's the boys. Now, they have 2 houses, boys' house and the girls' house, where they bring them up to 18 years of age. They go to the school, which is not too far from them. Then they have what's known as a halfway house. This is the halfway house for the boys, and then they have a halfway house called Wendy's house for the girls. And they can go in there when they become 18, if they want to work on with go into the ministry and help out in some way, or else if they want to get a job or go back into their family or whatever, they help them sort of get on to the next level with these houses. That's the Wendy's house, that's the girls' house there. And that's the other few of them. All concrete roads now. They're all pretty handy to see going up to the school and whatnots. Right, this is a church now. I happened to arrive there in the 2nd week. This is on the outside. It was the 30th year of anniversary for the church that they started up. And that's at the Filipino Outreach Christian Fellowship. And they've been streaming online every Sunday. Now, they've a great the two praise and worship teams, it's just amazing. They've a service for the Filipino speaking ones, and then there's a service for English speaking, and that's sort of the times and stuff like that. And then another thing I noticed as well was the prayer meeting, which I thought was a great idea. I went to a couple of the prayer meetings, and they put up, you see, like we have here with a big screen, they'll have all the names of everybody. Do you know sometimes when you go to a prayer meeting and people ask you to pray for this and pray for that, and there's a clatter of names and you can never remember all of them, but they had all the names up on the board and or up on the screen, and you could just sort of, you know, they didn't like our sort of conventional prayer meetings. They would have prayed in, you know, quietly a lot, but at least all the names were there that they could go through them. Well, that was the church there. Now, I think the praise and worship team was practicing. But I just happened to hit on the 30th, and that was the Harmony, the anniversary service. And they had all the different ones now. That's Chrissy there. She, as I say, she left to go for 8 months, and she ended out 40 years later there, you know. And she started out playing guitar and going into jails, and she's still doing it 40 years later. And I was blessed to go out with her. And the different ones, all the different groups, whether the wee ones, you know, the Shine, what do you call it, Sunday school ones, and they had them up singing, and then they had the ladies ones that they had in the ladies meeting, the men's meeting, a lot of different things going on. And that's our son to the left, Nathaniel. All the kids, now the praise and worship team is basically children, her children, and the eldest boy, he has taught every one of them. And they're multi-instrumentalists, like they play, one could get on the drums and the next minute they could be playing bass or guitar. They're very versatile. There was actually a donation went for, which I'll show you in a bit now. When I met Chrissy, they were raising money to buy an old abandoned, right beside their school, an abandoned hospital. And by the time I got over, they had bought the thing and all, but that was money that was donated to that, and they got a brand new wee minibus. See, the minibus, not only does it bring the school ones, the 3 buses all together, that's the new one. For any activities, whether the jail and stuff like that, to be using that, or whether children going to school in the morning, they have their buses picking up the children and bringing them. And it's not just the children in their orphanages, they'll pick up the children round about in the village and bring them all up into school. And then any activities and stuff like that. So that's the latest one. It was just brand new there. That's the other bus they had. You see another photo, and the big bus here to the right. I mean, there must be no MOT there. It's like a Flintstone mobile, you can see down through the floor and everything. But right, this is the hospital here. It's just 3 photos of it. This is an abandoned hospital, and she's over raising money for it, and thank God they got it. But there's a lot of red tape. But I went up through it, and it's a massive big building. Now they wanted to convert it into a bigger school and have like a college in it, but they said there's a lot of red tape and stuff like that there. But it's more or less derelict. They need to do the roof and then take it from there. But it's great potential. It's a great structure. And then there's, everywhere you walk, there's papaya trees growing, mango, what do you call them? At the time we stopped, Linda, the pineapples and stuff like that growing, and banana trees everywhere. Right, this is the jail now we're getting into. They go to 4 prisons a week, every week. Chrissy had asked me to do a bit of praise and worship, so I got playing and singing there, and then she'd bring a word, to each of the prisons we went to. So there should be another. You can see one of the guards there. That was another one we went to. That place there, see with the fan going, it would have baked you. I'm telling you, you wouldn't want to be, I know you wouldn't want to be in prison at all, but you wouldn't want to be in prison there. It's not even 2 or 3 day cell, it's like a dormitory. And they're on top of one and all, and it would roast you. Like 35, 36 degrees in the places, you know. And then inside them, you can see the sort of pan in there. It's like big, you know, the lorry containers, them big 40-foot containers. You can see in the background there where the painting is. So it was in there, it sort of brought a bit of word. This is Louis here, he was translating for me as well, you know. And then I think one of the other photos, there was a German girl there and a couple of English ones that were over doing voluntary work as well. You see Mary there in the background. Right, this here, because most of them there prisons, most of the population there is Catholic, and that prison there, they're trying to get them to turn it around. They would just let ones that are born again or want to become born again. They wouldn't let all the Catholic ones in, and that's why they have different services with the Mary and stuff like that. But most of them jails, the most population would have been Catholic that were inside. So that one there, now there's a couple of women in the front, and then the rest of it was all mostly men. But in there, they asked me to give a testimony. So I gave a bit of a testimony, and I said, you know, after the testimony, if anybody wants any prayer. So the next thing was like, Linda and me, when we were over in India, and we asked one of the things, do you want prayer? The next thing, there was lines, and there was 5 of us there, and there was just lines of people, mostly wanting prayer for their families, you know, to get saved. And I think there's another photo or two. Aye, that's Chrissy there. See, most of them in there would have been men, but it's amazing how many would come up for prayer at the end of the service. That's the outside of the jail there. You know, like it's just more or less that jail there was within a town structure, you know, like on one of the roads. That's the big building there. Like there's no windows, no nothing. It's just a real dark and gloomy place. That's the Zambian provincial jail. Like there's the wee hut going in, like tin hut, and you know there's not much to it. And that's their wee van for the inmates. Alright, so anytime I hate to sit about, I can't sit about and do nothing. So I said to Chrissy, you know, I says, look, she said, look, you can sit about and wait till the next thing. And I says, look, can I do the maintenance man or whatever? So I ended up going out with Tito. Great wee man, no tools whatsoever. I mean, like a hammer and this and that, but I mean, such a pair of hands, that man. Now, you'll see in one of the photos here, that's the pump. The boys' water, they have a wells down about 40 foot for all the water, and he was a great wee man. He used to work in linen, you know, dressmaking. There's 200 children, all with their uniforms. He fixes all the uniforms as well. He drives the bus. They just seem to do so much. He does just flick on there a second. We had to take out all the thing and clean the whole pump and the whole water thing and get it up and running. So I was giving them a hand at it, and then you'll see maybe in the next. And there's that there looks like a simple wee job, right? You know, a wee hole, maybe about 4 inches in, and you'd think, you do that in a second. I'll tell you what, 7 o'clock in the morning with hammer and chisel, that's all I had there, hammer and chisel. I'll tell you what, the gravy was flying out of me, the sweat was lashing off me. Now at home here we'd get a Kango, 2 seconds we'd bore that hole, but not there, you're chiseling and chiseling away. And the last wee job, and all one job, just wanted to put a couple of jobs, we're fitting lights in the toilets of the you know, up at the school. So that's just a couple of wee jobs we're doing. And you know, I think, you know, I would rather keep myself. This is the prayer meeting here. Just what I wanted to show you. And I couldn't believe many young ones was at the prayer meeting. I mean, I've never seen it ever in my life, as many young ones in the prayer meeting in my life. I mean, there was a bus load of them came down, you know, the kids down to the prayer meeting. And you'll see that's the what is it called?
Battle cry.
Battle cry, aye. Now the next photo I think I'll show you, that's the prayer requests. All the names were up of all the people, so people would just pray individually, you know, themselves in the quiet. So I think we're coming to the school now. Is it? Must be the next one. Or the school. Right. Aye, this is wee kindergarten, right? They had 11 rooms in the wee school. There's 200 kids. Now the first ones, I think they start at 6 or half 6 in the morning, and then they finish at about 2 o'clock. And then there's another load of kids that come in for the second from 2 o'clock to whatever, 4 or 5 or whatever. But just flick through them. Aye, that's one of the 7th grade. Now I went out, and here's the thing: them kids, some of the ones that were brought up in the orphanage, actually when they got up to the age of 18, went on to university, become teachers, and are now teaching in the very school that they went to when they were growing up. So it's like a whole recycling thing, and they seem to have a heart for going back in and helping get into ministry, a lot of them. Now some of them do drift off, but I mean, that's some of the teachers. A couple of them there were actually brought up in the what do you call it, the orphanage, and went to the school, and they ended up teaching in there themselves, you know. Now that was some of the older kids. Now they'll be up to about, I think, 18, and I don't know why they do this here. They've done the same in thing, didn't they? Whatever that is, I don't know. Victory or whatever. But they do it everywhere.
That was over here,
it's everywhere, like whatever, I don't know. There's a couple of them there. But you really see, look, Jesus is greater. You know, a lot of the classrooms, and you see every time I went round every classroom and took a photograph. Now I didn't put them all in, but every one of them children got up and they were polite, and they would greet you when they came in. I thought, you know, it's really amazing. Now you see the uniforms, there's 200 children in there. Tito, he does, any of the uniforms needs fixed, he was fixing it, you know, he'd sew them and stuff like that there. But some of the kids, you know, I got on great with them. When I went down into the girls' house, there was one of the girls, I brought out the guitar when I first went into the girls' house, and the next thing I was teaching one of them a health song, and they all started into the praise and worship. Absolutely loved it. Great wee singers. And the same with the boys. When I went down to the boys' house as well, one of them had a guitar, got it out. And I think music's a great thing because it breaks down barriers, and it gets everybody on a certain level, you know what I mean? Especially with praise and worship. Jesus loves you. A lot of the classrooms all had, you know, something mentioning Jesus or God or whatever, you know. That was some of the young ones. And it's strange too about that, you know, you could have a wee toddler. It seems to be how their brain works or whatever, because I seen ones maybe nearly 16 were in classroom with maybe ones of 13, but yet that one 13 had got a speedy wee brain or whatever, I don't know. But lovely wee kids. That's the bus. It says, what does it say? Jesus saves. That's one of the ones that picks up round the village and picks up all the wee kids and brings them, even the ones that aren't in the orphanage, and picks them all up, and it'll bring them down to the church and the prayer meeting and everything. That's the big bus Tito and me drove about in, and that's, you'll see the size of the, what do you call it, that's the hospital that they're going to be converting. Like they want, I don't know whether they want to build a college or something in it, but it's a massive, you know, the size of a hospital. But they've everything there. I think there's another couple of them. That's sort of the coverage of, there's all the classrooms in there. Philip, you know, Outreach Centre, Christian Academy, aye. And then I think the next, there's, they had, that morning I went up there, even though they have the big canopy to keep the heat really off them, they had like an exercise morning, and they'd be praying and whatnots, you know, so it's well organised, you know, and you know, they look really sharp, you know, for somewhere like that there, you wouldn't expect them all to have a nice uniform and be so well mannered, you know. I tell you, it's 35, 36 degrees a lot of the days, it would Becky potty in the thick of it. I think there's only another one now of the the ship. Here's this ship here, Dulles. What the heck is it? Dulles Hope, and there's another ship. There's two ships. This crowd's been going. Some of you maybe have heard of them. Dulles Hope, and I went on that actually twice. I went on that the first night, and Chrissy and myself and her husband went on, the pastor, and went on, and they have books. They have a library on there, not just mostly Christian books, but they've also school books, you know, for schools. And how they get in, you know, a lot of places there, it's an outreach. The boats are outreach boats, and you can go on to that boat. We went on anyway the first night, and I bought books for peanuts, like, I mean, a lot of pound brand new books. I ended up getting a couple of books that I know the Lord put in my heart to give to some of the ones that were in ministry there, you know, to sort of bless them. I picked the books up, and the next thing it was women's thing, you know, 2 books were women's, but then the Lord just put a vision into my head of the people that I needed to give them to. But anyway, the second time, there was like a mini conference type of thing where they were explaining to all the pastors and everybody about, you know, how people can come and do outreach on the boat. And Chrissy's husband was away, so she said to me, do you want to come out to the thingy, because the invites for 2 people. So I jumped at the opportunity, and I went and I listened to them speaking. Now you can go on for 3 weeks doing like an outreach course. These ships come in, there's one is in Africa at the minute and one in the Philippines, but all the volunteers on these ships, they pay a certain amount, and they go on for, I don't know, 3 weeks or maybe 6 months or whatever. But these ships go around the world, and they dock in, and because they have books, educational books, and the Christian books, they can get their foot in the door, and the ones that are on the boat go out and do outreach. And it's a powerful way, and I never knew about it at all. Maybe some of us did, but I never knew anything about it. But and I said that was a small ship. I don't know. But the other one apparently is a lot bigger. There's a Journey with Us, Live Out Love, Operation Mobilization Philippines. And here's the strange thing. You see the books that I bought for myself? I bought 2 books for myself, and I bought 3 books for another people. The 2 books that I bought, when I brought them to Chrissy and I said, she said that's the guy that was the founder member of these ships, some English guy. So then when we went to this here, Operation Mobilization Philippines, it's been going, I think it's been going from the 40s or 50s, I'm not sure, but it's been going a long time, and I've just been, so I ended up, when we went on, and all the pastors and all the guests that were on got in all 3 books by the same thing. So I have a collection of 5 books from this guy, the founder. Now it was about £200, roughly around that there sterling, to go on for 3 weeks. Now, providing you get, if your flight and stuff like that, to get to wherever the ship is, whether it be England or wherever, but a couple of £100, and you go on, you do volunteer work, and then when you go to these different places, you just go out and do outreach. They're hooked up with a lot of the churches in the areas wherever they go, and then their people goes out and does the outreach. Because Chrissy was saying that some of the ones used to come out and do the outreach and volunteer with them. So that's about the height of it, you know. So God is moving, you know, there's no doubt about it. And that was one of the ladies up explaining about the whole what's happening. You know, the praise and worship team and all there. So for anybody, and it doesn't. It's not just a matter of I would look at that and I sort of thought, you know, be great for young ones. But your woman got up and she said there was some woman in their 70s and she went on and did it. You know what I mean? I don't know how many months she went on. So it's not about age at all. If you've got a heart for outreach and stuff like that there, it doesn't matter what age you are. You just go ahead and do it, you know. Providing you wouldn't get seasick. But no, I think it's good, and it's good too if you get in around different countries in the world, and you know you can do outreach. I think it broadens the mind to see how different people do outreach. I learned stuff, you know, as I did when Linda and me went out. I think you're learning all the time, you know, how God operates in different countries, and no matter what, he's working here, there, and everywhere, you know. Praise God. I think that's it. Thank you.